What's shaking, YouTube? Welcome back to Nerdy Couch's channel. I again am Chris, longtime friend of the Nerdy Couch. We're running through the Venom series, of which my good friend Dan bought me a large version copy.
That's me.
First several issues. We're gonna be hitting on number 2. If you haven't seen the first video, make sure you go back and hit that up, because I feel like there was a lot of good stuff in that magazine and in that video.
Yeah, I enjoyed that book a lot, and I was excited for this one, especially with the ending of that one being such a lead up. Before we get too deep into this, I want to remind everyone to like and subscribe and check out the other videos. We will be putting this video out every couple of weeks, so read along with us and let's get to it.
All right. Yeah, I, like you, was very excited to read this issue because the huge cliffhanger on the last note of the book.
I feel like it was a big lead up.
Yeah. So, you know, I was expecting excitement and action in this.
This one, do you feel like it lacked that?
I feel like there was a lot more of those story pieces on Rex Strickland.
Oh yeah, I would agree.
But I didn't feel like I cared that much just yet about it. I think if maybe I was reading that Venom series, I might be a little more entwined with the Rex Strickland character, but right now I'm not.
The Venom book was the book we discussed briefly in the last video, and then afterwards found out that it's directly related to this series.
Yeah.
So it's something we might go back and read. I'm not certain yet. If you guys have read it, let us know what you thought and how it might tie into this.
Yeah. So yeah, this book kind of starts off where you're feeling like it's going to be those action-packed pieces, because as we recalled from the first book, Eddie was down. He had a giant hole in his chest. So the opening sequence is a little bit of Rex doing like a monologue about what he knows about Eddie and the fact that he really knows nothing about this person and he's a nobody. Yeah. And during that, Venom seems to be doing some healing of Eddie's body.
I'd like to add that the artwork here is what I'm really impressed with, more so than the story, I would say.
Yeah, the artwork here is really nice, like micro level healing factor stuffs. I don't know how good you're going to be able to see that.
Bit by bit. I will put something up in the corner. Bit by bit. And I like how you're seeing Venom literally repairing his ribs and the hole in his chest. I think it's well placed that there's a comment about his heart directly when there's a scene where he literally has no heart.
Yeah, that's kind of cute. I did enjoy that little piece, and I enjoyed the part where it seems to be interspersing pieces of Eddie's life that Strickland is talking about in almost like flashback sequences, like your life flashing before your eyes kind of thing. Well, Venom is repairing Eddie's body, which is kind of cool.
So you're kind of learning a little bit about Eddie here.
Yeah, a little more about who he is and who he was, but still just not enough that you feel like you know who Eddie is. The same as Strickland's feeling, I think. So
essentially what we're seeing is, Strickland is talking about Eddie in his past. Venom's reconstructing Eddie. Yeah. And it looks like right down to like cellular level, like molecular, blood bits and stuff are going back together, and there's the heart shot that we were just talking about. It's a really good put together sequence. So we come on a scene where Rex is sitting there behind some computers, and Eddie walks in, and he's furious. He's telling Strickland that your friends are dead. What did you get me into? Type deal thing. Seems like he feels betrayed almost. Yeah, he's definitely starts to get a little fueled up. The symbiote does his little freak out thing again, and nearly kills Strickland. Would you say? Yeah. He's on his way to kill Strickland, at least. Oh, for sure. I mean, initially I think Venom wanted to hurt him a little bit and do the scare tactic, and then he got out of control. Yeah. And it's gotten back to that really kind of badass looking spiral headed. Yeah, with all the red and stuff like that. And this is the first time that you see Eddie hold this back.
Yeah, he seems like he's really pushing to fight back against whatever's happening. And in the last one, it was obvious that it wasn't going to happen.
Oh yeah, he could not hold this thing back. He literally goes to the extent of putting his face as close to the fire as he can in the furnace to have this thing retract.
Yeah.
And this is the first time in this series that we hear an actual word in that messed up language that they're speaking.
Yeah, alien language.
Yeah,
that they're using. Yeah.
And the word he says is "move," and he's talking to Strickland at that point. Strickland gets out of the way, just as the symbiote is being forced off of Eddie's face from being in the fire.
I think it's a turning point in the whole story, just because Eddie seems to be able to have a little more control and fight back against whatever's happening to him. So that's an important piece, because it's obvious that these symbiotes are under the sway of this god for the most part.
Yeah, this is a pretty drastic move.
Yeah, for him to just shove his face in there.
To put himself in danger almost, to get this thing out, to behave almost a little bit.
Yeah, and you don't hear any complaints from Venom about the move either, which is interesting.
No, it's because I believe Venom's not happy with the way this thing is controlling him.
No. So after that, Eddie tells Strickland to turn on the news, because it seems like he hasn't really heard about what's going on in New York with this whole God thing.
And what did the news say?
The news said that there's been multiple sightings of this dragon, oil-covered dragon.
Are you reading that directly from the pages?
I am, verbatim. An oil-covered dragon.
That's plagiarism.
Or that's fact. That's reporting the news.
Whoa, that's like a fourth wall breaking right there. That's what that was?
I don't know, is it?
It's some sort of freaking...
We're breaking down
some sort of Inception thing there going on.
Breaking them down.
Breaking something.
So yeah, as Rex is watching this news story, it kind of goes on to tell about Rex's story.
I feel like we learn a lot about Rex in this book. Whether it's needed or not, that's debatable. I thought it was nice in a way. You find out here that the reason why Rex got the symbiote suit, right?
Yeah, they do a big touch on how he got the suit and the reason for it and what his background was in the military, and he just wanted his friends to stop dying. He didn't want to be a hero or anything. And
he says it several times. Don't call me a hero, which I think is cool, because one of the things he does is puts himself in the line of fire so that he can save some of his friends.
Yeah, we're just dropping all around him.
Takes several shots.
I'm assuming in the Vietnam War.
Yeah, I would assume so.
Based on the Venom piece that we were talking about. So he's running towards this sniper that they can't really find or pinpoint, so that his friends stop dropping around him, trying to make it to the place that this sniper might be, so that he can take shots, basically. Which is a pretty heroic move, regardless of what he says.
I believe in it. He says something along the lines of that he wasn't planning on making it out of this move.
No. His thought was that he was going to die right here.
It was a sacrifice.
Yeah. But just as he gets to the point where it looks like he's finished, that air support arrives and drops some napalm, but rather close to Rex.
And I think he gets caught up in it, and there's a pretty vivid picture of him kind of going up in flames.
So you would think that Rex dies here, but no. I did enjoy, in this next little piece where we're learning about when Rex got the suit, he does mention Fury in the shadows. And
he's literally in the shadows in this.
Yeah. You don't
in this
really
panel.
know what he looks like, who he is, or anything. And then the suit is dropped on.
What I like in this little section is he mentions that he's seen a lot of darkness in his days, but he's never seen darkness like this. Once the symbiote attaches to him, it's a new kind of darkness.
Yeah, and you get a good shot of his eyes going black as the symbiote.
Yeah, it is illustrated quite well, how the symbiote kind of attaches to him, and it's kind of seeping into his eyes.
Yeah, it looks like it looks like it's around the edges of his eyes on those tendrils that we're so used to seeing in symbiote suits, kind of leaking out of the corners, which is a really cool illustration. It seems like when Rex gets the symbiote, though, he seems to have like some kind of weird flash to.
Oh yeah, definitely.
This otherworldly being that I think was alluded to at the very end of that last book.
Yeah, this whole 2-page spread is kind of neat in the artistic manner, where it's covering and starting to cover up his face and stuff like that. And you're seeing a lot of, I don't know whether you're seeing that old being or if that's him or not, like right here.
Yeah, I don't know. Just this panel piece right here. We're not sure whether that's Rex or whether that's that otherworldly being.
Because if that's Rex, he was badass.
Yeah, he looked like some kind of crazy symbiote.
He does say in there that they never ever gave him a full symbiotic suit. I think it was only.
I might have missed that.
I think it was only a portion of it was only a little bit.
Or were they talking about a portion of that old god?
Yeah, I'm not certain at that point.
Yeah, I wasn't quite. I felt like it was more talking about that. It was a piece of the old god that.
You may be correct. Then I might have read that completely wrong. It's probably a good chance. But needless to say, the artwork on these pages is brilliant. I love it.
Yeah, I like that whole darkness overtaking kind of piece, and how small it looks like he felt in that universal picture.
Oh yeah.
And the enormity of that elder being in that universal picture too was pretty outstanding. I did enjoy that portion. And then Rex kind of alludes to that, the ending of that last book where the being speaks to him.
Oh,
and it
says
that God is coming.
And that's a voice that he's hearing in his head at the time, I think.
Yeah, it sounds like, when as the symbiote takes over.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So God is coming, and that reverts back to that page from the last book that was killer art.
Yeah, and then the next scene that we get to see is a more close up of that elder god.
Yeah.
And
this is the first time you're seeing like an actual picture of this thing.
Yeah, other than like that little silhouette piece or kind of it draping over itself. And what a monstrosity. It looks like if a symbiote took over a dragon.
Or a gargoyle or some sort.
Or, yeah.
You know what I mean?
But just
huge.
A monster 2-page spread.
This 2-page spread, he's like literally picking up cars with one hand.
Yeah.
It's brilliant. Speaking that ancient language as well.
And just the drool and spit flying from its lips, if it has lips, tongue, teeth.
Yeah.
So after we go through Rex's story and a little bit of his background, we skip back to Rex in front of those computer screens, and he starts talking a bit to Eddie Venom, and just as he's finishing up what he has to say to Eddie, he realizes that Eddie's not there anymore.
It's kind of a funny scene because on the news they say that Wilson Fisk, who is the mayor, calls for the Avengers, but nobody arrives.
There's only one person that's shown up thus far.
Yeah,
and that seems to be Spidey.
And then as he kind of says like,
we need a game plan.
Yeah, he's kind of saying like, hey, talking to Eddie, we need a game plan. We need to figure out what we're gonna do. And the last couple of minutes of him talking, turns around and realizes Venom's long gone and he's talking to himself. So it's a bit humorous. And then, like you said, we find out that Spidey's the one who shows up on the scene, and Strickland says, kind of a oh dear,
yeah,
you know.
Yeah, and
so
oh dear.
That was kind of a funny moment.
Yeah, it was good. And then we cut back to Eddie swinging into the scene of this dragon god absolutely destroying San Francisco, which Eddie's protecting. And the thing just looks massive when you're looking at it from the standpoint of Eddie with helicopters around it. It's like a Godzilla-esque kind of scene.
Yeah, that's a good way of describing it, I think. Anyway, what I like about this scene is the whole swing to the perch is kind of nice. Yep. You see him swing, and then he perches, and then the Venom mask kind of peels back. Mm-hmm. And I think that's just a cool scene.
Yeah, it looks really nice, and then it segues nice into that picture of just how big this beast demon is. Probably my favorite portion of this one was that ending scene where Eddie's standing up and he's talking about, you know, if this is gonna be my end, then I'm facing it head on. Like,
let it be.
Yeah. And in that scene, it's kind of him with like that bit of a superhero pose happening. But the cool piece is that, and am I mistaken in saying that this is Miles Morales' Spider-Man swinging in?
I considered whether it was Miles Morales, but if you look at the picture, Miles Morales has that more of a spray paint kind of spider.
Okay, so
so I believe it's just Black Suit Spider-Man.
It could be just Black Suit Spider-Man, but I don't know. I haven't really seen Spider-Man, Peter Parker's in that kind of suit, so that's just me.
Yeah, I think we're obviously going to find out in the next issue, I think.
But yeah, it's a beautiful scene, just the way it's put together, and Spider-Man swinging into the back, and it doesn't really seem like Eddie even realizes that he's there.
Now, on this page, the cool thing about this is it says, "Let it come," right? And then you've got Spidey swinging in from the back. Now, my question to you is Spidey there to help at this moment?
Who knows? Because it seems like from what we've been told by Strickland's telling and whatnot, that it seems like at this point in Eddie's life, he is a hero.
Or an anti-hero.
Or an anti-hero. But he is one of the good guys. So,
because my impression of this picture, just from the way Spidey is positioned and stuff like that, it almost appears like Spidey is swinging to kick him in the back.
Yeah, that's kind of what it looks like.
It's definitely meant to leave you hanging.
Yeah, and make you feel like, oh, is it about to go down between these two, and to heck with the Elder God for a bit.
Yeah, because the way that I'm familiar with Spidey and Venom is that Venom gets out of control every once in a while. Spidey comes in, puts him in check.
Yeah.
And is this a situation where Spidey's just automatically assuming, hey, I got to put Venom in check again?
It could be. Or maybe at this point, since Spider-Man is the only person that's shown up to fight this God thing, maybe he's about to beg for some assistance. Even.
Yeah. Another way of looking at it, possibly, is the fact that Spidey's shown up and he's seen this huge symbiotic beast.
Mm-hmm. He's familiar with the symbiotes, obviously.
He's definitely familiar with the symbiotes. So, does he relate this to, this is the work of Venom, this has something to do with Venom? I don't know, we're going to have to wait till the next issue, I suppose.
Which is just awful.
Okay, so as a whole, what did you think about this issue?
I honestly felt like it was a little slow for me. I know we were hitting up on a bit of the pasts of Strickland and Eddie again, but I don't feel like there was really any action other than a quick bit of a fight between Eddie and Strickland, and then that was the end of it.
I feel like this series so far has been leading up to the action.
Yeah, like I'm hoping that it's just a big build.
Yeah.
And when the action hits, I'm hoping that it's a really face punch kind of action scene.
Would you agree that the artwork kind of carried this book?
For sure. Yeah, there was some beautiful full-page art and two-page art that really set a lot of scenes. So I enjoyed the artwork more than I enjoyed the story piece this issue for sure. But still, I mean, I do appreciate a good backstory. So
yeah, and it's necessary.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, you got to. I mean,
together. We're on the second issue.
Right.
We're not far into the story.
I felt like this might have been a shorter story than the first one, even.
It felt short. I read it today, and I feel like it kind of just flew by.
Yeah, and that might just be because of your lack of action, so you're not immersing yourself in every page as much as you might.
Yeah. I can't say that I disliked the Strickland backstory. I feel like it added to the story. It's putting depth into a character that we don't really know much about.
Yeah.
So this is the book where maybe that's necessary to do. That way, later on in the story, we're not wondering
who is this guy.
Yeah. I mean, this guy's obviously playing a bigger role in this series than we thought was going to.
And you know what question I'm still having, and I don't think it's been answered in the first two, is where is Strickland's symbiote?
Yeah, that's a great...
I started to wonder if perhaps the reason that he knows so much about the Venom symbiote is it his old symbiote?
There's a possibility, and the only way we're going to find that out is to keep reading, I think. Which, I mean, all in all, does it still intrigue you to keep reading?
Oh yeah, especially with that ending scene, that cliffhanging piece with Spider-Man coming in, that black suit. I'm still wondering about that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm definitely intrigued to see what's about to happen with this whole storyline. So, all in all, it's a good work thus far in the first two episodes for sure.
I feel like the end scenes in these two books were possibly the best parts of these books. Yeah,
both of them really left you hanging to the point where you needed to read.
Yeah, you kind of have to.
The next piece of the story.
This is really well left.
Yeah, it's perfectly set for some action to happen for sure. I'm feeling in this third book. As a little throwback, I got really excited when they mentioned Carnage. By the way.
Oh yeah, definitely.
There was just like a really brief.
Very briefly, did they mention?
They said Carnage, and I was like, because Carnage, Venom. I love Venom, and he's probably my second favorite symbiote next to Carnage. Because Carnage is just or Gwenom. I did like Gwenom. Pretty cool. But anyway, I digress.
I digress.
Yeah, it was a well-illustrated book. The story elements are there, even though I felt like they were a little slow. And I'm definitely reading the next issue probably right after we're done this video.
Okay. What would you give this? You gave the last one an 8 out of 10.
I'm going to have to reel it back a little bit to a 6.5.
A 6.5?
Yeah.
As far as I'm concerned, I think I'm going to keep mine right where I had it, which was a 7. I don't feel like this story has taken off yet. I feel like this story it's got you itching.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, I'm ready for stuff to happen now.
There's a good chance that that's what these two first issues are meant to do. Regardless what you think about these books so far, they've done a great job setting something big up.
Yes. Yeah.
That's why
I enjoy lore pieces when I'm reading or playing games or anything, and the fact that we're kind of seeing where symbiotes come from in general, because I always assumed that it was more of a planetary thing. Like I thought they were.
Yeah, they were from Clintar, right?
Right.
Clintar is the planet that Venom was assumed to have been from.
Yeah.
In these two first issues, we're finding out that the symbiotes are much older than Eddie believed them to be.
Yeah. And it seems like they all possibly dripped from this dragon god, which is very cool.
The dragon god, what we're calling it, the dragon god, we like I'm pretty impressed with it.
Yeah,
it's a big thing. It's huge. It's ugly. It's out of control. Is it the big baddie in this story, though? I know that there's no way of us telling right now, but I feel like this early in the story, there's something bigger than that coming.
Yeah, I feel like there needs to be something underlying, because it's almost all the time that you see a giant baddie that just seems to be destroying everything. That's not the main evil in whatever.
And the fake jack-o'-lantern cannot be that for this story. Cannot be that first big baddie.
No,
because that would be pretty pathetic.
Too fast,
and you know,
he just fell apart.
Sir Cates is smarter than that.
Yeah. So everything about these first 2 issues leaves me with so many questions that I need to read to answer them. I have to read it.
All in all, though, great illustrations.
Beautiful, yeah.
The story was maybe a little slow, but I think it's setting building blocks. And those building blocks, I think, are going to be appreciated several issues down the line.
For sure. I'm with you on that. I feel like there's going to be a big punch coming probably soon within the next 2 issues, and I'm excited to see what it is.
Okay, so let's wrap this video up, guys.
Wait a minute.
Don't wrap this video up, guys.
I'd just like to say thanks to my kids for the bobblehead spider lamp, the Peter Porker, and the monstrous Spider-Man.
These were all lent to us by some very good kids.
Yes.
I don't know how they turned out that good.
Just genetics.
Genetics. Well played.
But yeah, to wrap it up, do your thing.
Like, subscribe, and check us out again for issue 3 in a couple of weeks, because we're going to enjoy reading it, and we're going to enjoy bringing it to you. Take care, guys, and stay classy, YouTube.
Wow, thanks.